BMW 5 Series is a premium executive saloon that is now in its 7th generation. Lighter, more powerful and more efficient than its predecessor, which was consistently the best-selling car in its class, the latest 5 Series remains focused on BMW's traditional values of driving pleasure and performance. This car adds even greater levels of luxury to the mix, with an intricate, high-quality interior design, generally plush ride comfort and a large number of cutting-edge technologies, many of which have filtered down from the flagship BMW 7 Series. Entry-level SE specification has more standard equipment than any rival, meaning it also adds great value to the challenge it presents to the Audi A6, Mercedes-Benz E-Class, Jaguar XF and Lexus GS. Still the ultimate driving machine? The all-new model features 5 engine variants, 520d and 530d turbodiesels plus 530i and 540i turbo petrols, plus a plug-in hybrid 530ei performance. More economical and even sportier choices set to join the range shortly afterwards. All 5 Series come with an 8-speed automatic gearbox. This is largely an excellent transmission, with the option of X-Drive all-wheel drive on all but the 530i and 530e. Performance is very strong, and combined with handling that feels immediately more agile than the preceding 5 Series, this is a big, comfortable, high-licensed car that can cover even tricky roads exceptionally quickly. While the interior may not have quite the wow factor of the Mercedes E-Class, the 5 Series has plenty of passenger space front and rear, and feels noticeably more composed from behind the steering wheel, and that applies to both driving fast and cruising gently. Trim levels and technology. UK buyers have the choice of SE or M Sport trim levels, with the 520d Efficient Dynamics as a standalone model. Satellite and navigation is fitted as standard on all 5 Series, as it is on every BMW. Technology highlights on the 5 Series include the latest iDrive infotainment system, with optional touchscreen and gesture control, an optional head-up display that's 70% larger than before, and the optional Driving Assistant Plus, a new suite of electronic aids that represent a stepping stone towards self-driven cars. Indeed, new 5 Series can safely change lanes on the motorway without the driver touching the steering wheel. This is really just the tip of the iceberg in terms of tech, though. The best BMW 5 Series to buy. Fuel economy-minded buyers will be particularly interested in the 520d Efficient Dynamics when it arrives, as it emits as little as 102 gkm CO2, equivalent to an official fuel consumption figure of 72.4 miles per gallon, and the 530ei performance plug-in hybrid. This claims 44 gkm and 148.7 miles per gallon, but at considerable additional cost to both your wallet and your suspension of disbelief. The 540i is likely to be of least interest to UK buyers, owing to its comparative profligacy. We do not get the M550i X-Drive high-performance model offered on the continent, as BMW is not building it in right-hand drive. A fully blown M5 with supercar rivaling pace will be coming our way in the not-too-distant future, however. Whichever 5 Series you choose, you'll be getting a car that is right at the top of its class. BMW 5 Series Saloon Model History. October 2016, 7th Generation 5 Series Saloon available to order for February 2017 delivery. Only SE and M Sport specifications are available, each paired with the launch range of 520d, 520d X-Drive, 530i, 530d, 530d X-Drive and 540i X-Drive. December 2016, plug-in hybrid 530e available to order in SE and M Sport specification. Claimed range of up to 29 miles on electric and power. The official efficiency rating is 141.2 miles per gallon and 46 gkm of CO2 for the SE version. January 2017. Available to order for March delivery is the 520d Efficient Dynamics, only paired with SE specification. Official claims of 72.4 miles per gallon and CO2 emissions of 102 gkm. Read the full BMW 5 Series Saloon review to see why this four-door stalwart is still worth considering. Turbocharged petrol, Diesel and hybrid options. Lusty 540i races from 0.62 miles per hour in under 5 seconds. All versions of this 5 Series are powered by engines from BMW's modular family, which means regardless of the number of cylinder 4 or 6 at launch and whether they drink petrol or diesel, they're all fundamentally related and all fitted with turbochargers for increased performance and efficiency. BMW 540i. The most powerful engine at launch is the 340 horsepower 3.0-liter 6-cylinder turbo petrol in the 540i. Although we've only driven it with rear-wheel drive, in the UK this engine will be exclusively paired with the X-Drive all-wheel drive system. Having tried the X-Drive system in the 530DC below, we've no doubt this combination is going to feel very, very fast, and indeed 0.62 miles per hour is quoted at 4.8 seconds while top speed is electronically limited to 155 miles per hour. Strangely, it's not the most exciting engine, however. The raw speed is in no doubt, but with such an enormous dollop of torque minus 450 Nm all the way from 1,380 revolutions per minute to 5,200 revolutions per minute, there's no drama to the way it delivers its performance. The noise it makes is pretty boring, too. BMW 520d. The 520d, an engine we're expecting to be incredibly popular thanks to its appealing mix of on-paper fuel economy, tax bills and performance, is a well-known option in the 5 Series range, and historically has sold in huge numbers. We found it more than adequate for the job during our initial test drive. It lacks the smoothness the 530d's extra pair of cylinders offers, but for most the savings made in purchase and running costs more than make up for this. With a 0.62 miles per hour time of just over 7 seconds, it's hardly what you'd call slow, and the compulsory 8-speed automatic gearbox works almost faultlessly to provide the correct ratio when it's required. BMW 530d. Curiously, this 265 horsepower 3.0-liter 6-cylinder turbodiesel is much more satisfying to drive than the 540i. It feels barely any slower, and with 620 Nm it packs an even bigger slug of torque, giving you a proper thump in the back whenever you have a sudden need to accelerate hard. Coupled with significantly better fuel economy, and a refined but meaty soundtrack, we'd certainly choose one of these over the 3.0-liter petrol. Just 5.4 seconds or 5.7 seconds without X-Drive are needed for the 0.62 miles per hour sprint, and the immense traction from the all-wheel drive system is truly impressive. We didn't see the stability control light flicker once, despite consistent rain during the lengthy launch drive, yet nor could we detect the torque being shuffled between the axles in the hunt for grip. Top speed is again electronically limited to 155 miles per hour. The 8-speed transmission fitted in both variants is generally unflappable, but we did occasionally find it slow to downshift in the 540i, where pacier upshifts also had a tendency to feel uncomfortably aggressive. BMW 530ei performance. Offering a seemingly impossible combination of frugality and performance, the hybrid 5 Series uses a 4-cylinder petrol engine and an electric motor to channel 252 horsepower through the rear wheels. This promises comparable acceleration to the 530i, sprinting from 0.62 miles per hour in 6.2 seconds and leaning of a 420 Nm wedge of torque to make speedy and gear progress. It's a convincing alternative to diesel. Driven sedately, it's quiet and efficient and hard to tell which power source you're using. Less smooth throttle inputs seem to take the petrol engine by surprise, however, resulting in a noticeable changeover from electric mode to the conventional powertrain. Charging the battery takes 5 hours from a normal domestic socket or under 3 if you have a wall box, and BMW reckons combined you can get 29 miles of pure electric driving or nearly 400 miles combined. Top electric-only speed is 87 miles per hour, while in hybrid mode you can expect 146 miles per hour. Other 5 Series engines. We can't yet comment on the 4-cylinder performance of the 530i petrol as we are yet to drive it. But we can tell you that it will do 0.62 miles per hour in as little as 6.2 seconds and has a top speed electronically limited to 155 miles per hour. Standard suspension and steering not tested yet, options designed to make it handle even better, a very satisfying car to drive. First, a caveat: all the 5 Series we have tested so far have been fitted with optional integral active steering, BMW's 4-wheel steering system, and dynamic damper control, variable rate adaptive suspension with a choice of comfort and sport profiles. Dynamic damper control: what's especially impressive about the dynamic damper control is the degree of flexibility between comfort and sportiness it offers. In handling terms, this means you no longer have to choose between a car that's great fun in the corners and a car that's comfortable on a long journey, especially since there's an adaptive setting that instantly changes the character of the 5 Series as soon as it detects the kind of driving you're doing at that moment. Integral active steering: the integral active steering, meanwhile, is designed to make the car turn more quickly at low speeds and feel more stable at high speeds, a trick it achieves by electronically varying the angle of the rear wheels up to 3 degrees. Yes, the rear wheels steer as well as the fronts. The stunning part about this is not so much that it works in exactly the manner described, but rather that you can't really detect the changes, the 5 Series continuing simply to feel natural at all times. As a result, so equipped, this car absolutely lives up to BMW's reputation for putting driver enjoyment at the forefront of its products. Add an X-Drive as well, and you've got an all-weather executive express that certainly has the potential to leave many a sports car driver feeling very sorry for themselves. 520D or 530D? We found the 520D's handling to be fractionally less involving than the 530D's. Presumably because of the extra weight over the latter's nose. That isn't to say that either car is bad in this respect, but the more powerful model is noticeably more engaging because its front end communicates more about how much grip you've got in corners. Beautifully finished inside design evolution increases spaciousness. Optional extras include HUD and gesture control. BMW's traditional driver-orientated interior layout has undergone an upgrade for the latest 5 Series. It's still recognizably a BMW inside, but the newly freestanding central display screen makes it seem more spacious and airy up front, while a significant increase in design intricacy helps give the dashboard a first-class impression of quality without making its features more difficult to use. The rotary controller remains the principal, and perhaps most intuitive, way of interacting with the iDrive infotainment system. But the software has been redesigned to make it easier to use the optional touchscreen capability, and the 5 Series now offers gesture control as well. Gesture control, don't bother, this has been improved since its introduction in the 7 Series, and now reacts more quickly and with greater consistency to the small number of hand and finger movements it understands, allowing you to do things such as dismiss on-screen notifications and change the volume without touching anything at all. It's a bit of a gimmick still, though, so we'd probably save the cash for something more useful. Head-up display, do bother, the also optional head-up display is more useful. This projects information onto the lower portion of the windscreen in front of the driver so you no longer have to look away from the road to see, for example, the speed you're traveling at or the satellite and navigation instructions, and with a 70% larger area it's now handier than ever. BMW has always been one of the pioneers of this technology, and it shows. Top quality almost everywhere, emphasizing the attention to detail BMW is now going to in order to compete with the quality of Mercedes interiors. Some elements of the dashboard in the 5 Series are individually laser scanned so that adjoining pieces can be made to exactly match them, for every individual car. It's a shame then that the knobs for the climate control feel just a little bit cheap. This aside, we have no complaints, and believe Audi is going to need to significantly up its game to match its German rivals with its next generation A6. Specific dials for the hybrid: pick the 530e hybrid and you'll notice a few changes to the instrument cluster. There's a small secondary dial showing battery range. This looks a bit like a petrol gauge and a remodeled rev counter. On one side of this dial there is a charge zone to display when the batteries are being topped up, and the other shows how much power, both electric and petrol, you have in reserve, related to how flat your right foot is. Floor it and the needle rushes past the 40% mark, denoting the maximum amount of electric drive available, and the petrol engine will start up. Using this gauge it's possible to keep the 530e in electric mode without firing up the conventional motor. Exceptionally good ride quality with adaptive suspension, very comfortable seats, brilliant long-distance mile muncher even without testing the non-adaptive suspension, which is available in standard and sport guises, the latter firmer with a 10 mm reduction in ride height. We're close to declaring the optional dynamic damper control a must-buy. Paired with 18-inch wheels and smaller 17-inch wheels are standard on, say, the ride quality is exceptional, to the point where you start aiming at potholes for fun. This is a big step forward over the preceding generation of 5 Series. Choose your wheels carefully, it gets a bit thumpier over bad surfaces if you go up to 19-inch wheels. However, compared with the tinny sensations you get from the latest Mercedes A-Class over lumps and bumps, the BMW always feels reassuringly solid and substantial. In fact, the 5 Series is a soothing long-distance cruiser all round, really. The seats are very comfy, with lots of adjustment, and an optional massaging function that actually feels like it's doing you some good, while the straight-line stability makes it a relaxing partner for lengthy motorway journeys. Refinement is also a strong point, with zero vibrations in the cabin and just the right amount of engine noise to remind you that you're driving a car from a sporty brand. While the 530e hybrid is whisper quiet when operating in electric mode, the 4-cylinder petrol engine gets a little noisy and coarse when pushed hard. What's more, the build quality is such that it suggests the 5 Series will continue to feel this good for a long time to come. Just 2 trims in the UK. Standard spec is generous, hybrid model has unique badging. The BMW 5 Series has just 2 trim levels in the UK, SE and M Sport. The manufacturer claims that SE is better equipped than any rival's entry-level specification, and given the list of fitted kit we see no reason to disbelieve them. Standard BMW 5 Series Saloon equipment. Standard SE spec boasts lots of kit, including sedan with real-time traffic updates, 20 GB music storage, Apple CarPlay and DAB radio, for starters. You also get the drive performance control selector with eco, comfort and sport settings, front and rear parking sensors, heated seats and automatic lights and wipers for convenience. Styling and tech highlights include LED headlights, 17-inch alloy wheels, dual-zone air conditioning, digital dials and cruise control. M Sport adds mostly cosmetic changes intended to give the 5 Series a more sporting character. These include different front seats, sportier brakes on more powerful models and 18-19-inch wheels depending on engine choice. You also get high-gloss black trim, LED fog lights and an M body kit alongside loads of M badges. This theme carries on inside, with M door sills, floor mats, pedals and wheel, plus a black headliner and aluminum trim. The BMW 530e Performance comes in SE or Sport trims but also gains a Larry blue front grille and alloy wheel details, plus e-drive badging on the rear pillars. Optional BMW 5 Series Saloon accessories. The new 5 Series may be better equipped than ever before, but this just seems to have made more room on the options list for even fancier extras. Examples include display key, a key with a screen in it that allows you to access a certain amount of basic info about the car, to preset the heating and activate the remote control parking function. Another extra. Yes, this theoretically means you can park your 5 Series without being in the car, but we haven't been able to test this yet. Bowers Wilkins Diamond Surround Sound System, top choice from 4 Hi-Fi systems. This features 10-channel amplification, 16 speakers, 1,400 watts and illuminated speaker grills, expensive and slightly underwhelming rear seat entertainment, called the Experience System. This features 2 individually controlled 10.2-inch screens for the rear seat passengers with built-in Blu-ray players and connections for MP3 players and games consoles, not forgetting the head-up display, gesture control and touchscreen capabilities discussed earlier in this review, nor the Driving Assistant Plus package discussed in the safety section. Lots of high-tech safety kit. But much of it is only optional. Windscreen wipers. Strangely poor Euro NCAP gave the 2017 BMW 5 Series a full 5 stars when it tested it, and the standard specification covers all the critical bases. including 6 airbags, electronic stability control and tire pressure monitoring system. The hybrid 530e comes with some extra tech including cross-traffic alert, the blind spot monitoring and active side collision protection. Where it really gets exciting is in the realm of optional extras, particularly the Driving Assistant Plus package, which wraps up a whole suite of driver aids intended to keep you better informed and even take control of the car for short periods. What Driving Assistant Plus includes: evasion aid, alerts you to unexpected obstacles ahead and helps control the car during sudden movements to avoid them. Lane change assistant, pitched as comfort enhancing, actually allows you to change lane just by activating the indicator for 2 seconds, completely controlling the safe steering of the car into the next lane. Lane keeping assistant with active side collision protection not only warns you if you're about to stray out of lane but also if another vehicle seems set on a collision course. Steering and lane control assistant will steer the car for short periods, as long as it can detect the lane markings either side, works up to 130 miles per hour and requires only a light touch on the steering wheel to reset, but is easily confused by slip roads. Prioritize warning, spots and alerts you to places where you need to give way, especially stop signs. Wrong way warning, tells you if it thinks you're about to drive the wrong way down a street or motorway. Active cruise control, not only maintains a safe distance to the car in front but spots and can react to changes in the speed limit. To cross-traffic warning, detects vehicles approaching from the side, at junctions and when you're reversing. Our only real negative on the safety front strangely comes from the windscreen wipers. They have only 2 standard speed settings, which means you can't set them to maximum speed manually during really tempestuous weather. The automatic setting will go faster, but doesn't do so consistently, which can be unnerving in a downpour, to say the least. Seats 5 in comfort and space. Boot is smaller than that of the A-Class hybrid version, loses 120 liters of space. The 5 Series has a low, sporty seating position, which means even with the shift to a more coupe-like roofline for this latest model, there's still plenty of room inside for up to 5 passengers. Headroom is generous and it feels spacious and airy front and rear. We've already mentioned how comfortable the seats are, although as with most executive saloons, the middle rear passenger doesn't get quite such a good deal. Luggage space. The boot is 530 liters in capacity, which is 10 liters shy of the Mercedes A-Class, but you shouldn't need to pack too sensibly to fit in everyone's bag on a run to the airport. Interior storage is limited to the usual central cubbies, door pockets and glove box. These struck us as neither especially large nor disappointingly small. 530e makes do with the smaller boot. Batteries to power the electric motor have been stashed under the rear seats, where the petrol tank usually goes, and this has been moved backwards where it eats into boot space. As such, you now get 410 liters of capacity to load luggage into, but it does mean the boot floor sits flush against the lip, making it easier to pack heavy items. There's also a small section of the floor that can be lowered, making the recessed section for smaller items to be stored in.